What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if it's your first time here. You know, most people, I don't think, realize the severity of the situation that we're in right now. You know, we have a completely mentally compromised person in the White House playing president of these here United States of America. We have increasing inflation, with the official numbers being around 10%. However, I think it's more like 20%, and then up to 100% or even more on certain items. We have a crumbling food supply infrastructure. We have severe drought out west, out in the southwest. We have the water levels going down at Lake Mead, for example. We have a completely open southern border. We have a crumbling power grid here in the U.S. So many issues are going on right now that are going to cause severe disruptions in our everyday life and in our way of life here in the U.S. Unfortunately, I hate to be the bringer of bad news, but unfortunately I think it's going to get much worse very quickly here in the very near future. I think they're going to be seeing direct military conflict between NATO and Russia, and that is going to break out into, in my opinion, World War III, because we see both sides gathering their forces, gathering their troops. We've seen Russia talking to Iran, talking to Turkey, trying to get the BRICS nations together. NATO is doing the same thing, and they brought Finland and Sweden into NATO. They're gathering up forces, they're positioning logistics, they're positioning troops, and they're getting ready for direct military conflict. Russia isn't going to back down in Ukraine. Russia is going to keep moving forward in Ukraine. NATO, the United States and NATO, isn't going to let Russia take Ukraine. So it's going to break out into direct military conflict, and in my opinion, within the next 4, maybe 6 weeks at the most. I could be wrong on the time here, but the way they're gathering up troops, positioning logistics and things like that, and the things they've been saying, I think it's going to be within the next couple of months at the latest. I've talked to a lot of people who live beside or near military bases here in the U.S., and they are seeing increased activity. Planes flying back and forth, all kinds of activity going constantly, and they've been there in those locations most of their lives, and they know when something is off, they know when something is different, and they're reporting to me that it's different. There's more activity, more things are happening, and that's because they're moving logistics, moving troops, and getting everything ready to go. Now, I know most people don't want to hear this. Most people want to say fear-mongering is never going to happen. But then a lot of people have said that Russia wasn't going to even invade Ukraine. But we saw they gathered the troops up, they got logistics in place, and it took several months to do that. And they were saying they were doing military exercises and all kinds of excuses, and people said they wasn't going to invade. Then they invaded. We are being controlled, manipulated by a bunch of lunatics. And certain people, certain factions that are in power actually want this war. They want this war with Russia, and this war with Russia isn't going to be contained with just Russia. It's going to spread out into World War III. They know this. That's why they are gathering troops on both sides. They're getting ready. They're amassing. Kind of reminds you of what's in the book of Revelation that happens in Armageddon. I'm not saying it is, but it kind of reminds me of that, and I just get that feeling for some reason. Let's take a look at this article here from Natural News. NATO planning massive military buildup after taking in 2 new members, Finland and Sweden. NATO continues to position itself to confront Russia, putting hundreds of millions of people at risk of nuclear vaporization. Even as Russia remains bogged down in Ukraine, Moscow possesses the largest and most powerful nuclear force on the planet, and if pressed to the point of defeat, no doubt, will use it even if in a limited manner. And that right there is a key part of this article. If pressed to the point of defeat. Like I said, NATO isn't going to let Russia take Ukraine. And if they have to, which they're going to have to make sure Russia don't take Ukraine, if that's their goal, then they want to have direct military conflict with Russia. And Russia will go nuclear, in my opinion. And they know this. Some people want this, unfortunately. some lunatics that are in power actually want war, and actually a nuclear war, in my opinion. But that doesn't seem to bother the NATO globalists who are continuing to build up the alliance's forces on the European continent opposite Russian forces. The military alliance will increase the size of its rapid reaction forces nearly eightfold to 300,000 troops as part of its response to an era of strategic competition. The NATO response force currently has 40,000 soldiers, which can deploy quickly when needed. And if Russia sees it's going to come to direct military conflict, these forces right here, where they are, will be the first nuclear attack from Russia. Strategic nuclear attack on these forces to take these down, take these numbers down, and to limit their power and influence in that region. And guys, over here, this article is talking about Russia announces civilian drills for a nuclear attack. Moscow is announcing to its citizens that the city will be conducting nuclear attack civilian evacuation drills complete with outdoor sirens, TV, and radio interruption warnings, instructing citizens to proceed to nuclear attack shelters. The dates of these drills are not yet known, but the citizenry is being told the drills will be upcoming, and there will be several of them. Citizens are also being advised to have an evacuation bag with some clothing, medicines, money, ID, and hygiene products in it so they can grab and go. More details as I get them. And you probably heard about New York City putting out a video telling the people living in New York how to survive a nuclear attack if one was to happen on New York City. This is an official New York City video about how to survive a nuclear attack. Please do not be freaked out. We have Russia running drills, nuclear defense drills. We have New York City putting out a video telling people how to survive a nuclear attack. Unfortunately, if a nuclear bomb hits New York City, most people aren't going to survive. There might be some who survive. There's always some freak accident where someone actually survives. But New York, with the power, the nuclear weapons we have now, and Russia has, New York, a direct hit would be completely obliterated. If you don't have a dedicated shelter deep underground during a direct hit, you're going to be toast. New York City would be completely leveled, unfortunately. But this shows they're thinking, they know it's coming. And unfortunately, guys, I think it's coming also. Prepare the best you can. Stockpile as much as you possibly can. And just be ready. Because in my opinion, World War III is going to break out here within the next few weeks to a couple of months. Hopefully, I'm wrong. Hopefully all this blows over. Hopefully Russia goes back to Russia, pulls the troops out. Everything goes back to normal. All the sanctions are dropped. Everything is just wonderful. However, that's not going to happen in my opinion. They're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing because certain people in power want this war. They're not going to let Russia take Ukraine. And Russia isn't going to back down in my opinion. Both sides are gathering steam. They're gathering forces. They're getting ready for this outbreak into all-out World War III. Stockpile as much food as you can. Prepare as much as you can. But most of all, pray. Anyways, guys, if you thought the video was useful, give it a big thumbs up. Leave your comments below. Thanks for watching. And the Creekmore out here, and I'll see you all in the next video, hopefully.